Hey Chase, good progress here. So yeah, let's look at your background and your text. Um, I kind of like this idea, but I'm not sure if you know when you look at this, it's kind of hard to see. It's always hard to see text over a complicated background. I think I posted. This is what's in the announcements on legible text. But if you just read about, you can read a little bit about it or just look at it. Whenever you put text over a complicated image, it's just really hard to read. You can see you can't really read this. Same here. And again, you can see here how if you've got light over dark, it's got a good amount of contrast, so you can see it pretty well, but not so much seeing it through here where you've got light on light. This is really not legible. So you might just want to have a look at that and just really think of how you could create more legible text. And I would suggest looking for a background that's simpler. I mean, you could take this and make it a lot bigger so it's not, because it's pretty active. Well, let me just turn the text off for a while. Yeah. Let's see. You could make the background bigger so you don't see as much of the details. Let's see, kind of, it looks a little bit plain now, but again, it's got a lot more negative space now, so you can, that switch is kind of a problem. I mean, I don't mind it for composition, but you just don't want it in the middle. So something like that could work. I still would suggest, though, the caricature needs just to stand out a little bit more. The background's still quite strong. I would get rid of this text completely. You just want to kind of, at this point, stick with what the client wants. And if you wanted to add a really short little tagline that was maybe like 3 words or something, that would work. Also need to add the text that the client wants, unfortunately. I mean, what I would do is do save as and save this one as like, snack time GIF, and then really also look at what the client wants, which is the food thing. So yeah. So I would make this bigger. I would still suggest some of the other suggestions. This arm thing is a little bit long, so it's kind of throwing the balance off of the caricature a little bit. I like the label though quite a bit. And for the label too, if you want to make it look like it's fitting, fitting better on the jar, you can just let me find where your label is. Dun, dun, dun. Is that it right there? Yeah. If you go up into edit and then you go into not that puppet warp but just the regular warp. Okay, I have to unlink it. Okay. Then you can kind of move the parts of the label down. So what you want is you want the top of the label to correspond with this ellipse. So it should be kind of rounded like the like the ellipse on the top. And again, you can just play it. This is really definitely going to be rough and dirty here, quick and dirty adjustment. But again, you can just keep playing with it until you get it how you want it. But see, again, then you just see that it's still not perfect by any means. And again, I'll link it back up. The mask is kind of in the background too, so yeah, the bottom still needs to, the bottom needs to correspond with this curve down here. So, I mean, that would also help create a little bit more realism. So yeah, I mean, I think your caricature is almost done. I would still I love the legs now. I would still consider working on, the celery and also the length of these. I'm just wondering. There's that one. I'm just wondering what if it was a little bit shorter. So yeah, I would just continue playing with it. And overall, though, I would make the whole thing probably a little bit bigger, just so. And then what I would do is, I mean, let's say I'm going to turn this text off. Let's say that you were going to use, you know, you can move this stuff around to fit into the negative space too, because it doesn't, you know, it can be moved a little bit. Or if this was shortened, then it would, you know, it would fit in the space a little bit more. But then what I would do is go to that DaFont site, and I would try to find a font that was a little bit more interesting, that would go more with your, you know, with your caricature. And you can, you know, you can look at all these different ones. This is the retro one, 40 pages of just this one area. So, and I already put the terrible toys, you know, so flipping food. I'm just going to put a couple things, and then you can just, so then again, you can see your text here. You know, and again, you might want to, you could just kind of look in all different, you know, that's kind of a cool, fun one. Just really make sure that it's legible. That's a big, you know, you know, if it's not legible, it kind of doesn't suit any kind of purpose. So, but there's tons of fonts, and they're really easy to install. I'm just wondering if you toned the background down or up a little bit, it would stand, the caricature would stand out a little bit more. So that's making it darker. It does stand out a little bit more, and lighter, it also stands out a little bit more. See, the deal is this is the same value as this. So that's the part about needing contrast. Like it either needs to be light or dark for it to stand out. Let me see what the levels would do. And, you know, these are non-destructive, so see, I would probably even go, yeah. Anyway, I'm just trying to show you some options here of what you could do. You can just turn these adjustments off. So anyway, yeah, just need some more work with that, and be sure to really get the text the way the client wants. So you know, so it meets specs. That's, you know, following the directions of the client is a really big thing in graphic design. So that's kind of why there's all these specs in that. So you might want to look for a counter that's, you know, that's even kind of simpler. I mean, you can still, let me see, where's all my images here. And this is what I was showing somebody about, you know, the negative space of an empty room. So let's see, kitchen. You know, even something like, well, you can't use this when it has this watermark, but even something like that allows, you know, allows for a little bit more, you know, negative space. Let me see here what else they have. So you can just have a look. I wouldn't, you know, if you went with a lighter one, you wouldn't have to do too much with it. You know, this angle of view is always fun. You don't want to have anything that's got big, bold things like these plants in there. No, that's kind of ugly. You don't want anything like real ugly. Oh, there's yours right there. Yeah, see, you've already done all this. Yeah, I would just go simpler. I mean, you could also blur the, you can blur it a little bit too. That helps. You know, what about something like that? And then you can just crop it like someplace and just have the table, or you can put it on a tabletop. That might be another, you know, another option too. So anyway, I'm just trying to give you some suggestions. I'll let you go. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I really love your caricature. Just needs a little bit of work in some areas. Yeah, so a couple more drafts. And if you want feedback ever, just grab me on Hangouts. Okay.